We are doing a stream of Ultimate Chicken Horse, which is this awesome game. And it's a 2D platformer where you build the level and you build you put the platforms into the level as you play. I'm doing the one player, I'm doing some one player level design, which is a puzzle mode where we give you certain blocks and you have to figure out where to place them to get to the end of the level. So I'm just going to do a quick bit of level design. We're going to look at this level, and then we're going to do some multiplayer gameplay. In terms of YouTube video, I might have just cut out that first whole awkward bit, so hopefully this will be a decent introduction. Anywho, so here we are designing a level. I have Photoshop open. I'm just going to do a rough sketch of the level, what I sort of want to get across, and then we're going to go into Unity and see how we can put it together. Alright, so my thought for the level design in this case, I've taken different approaches for designing levels. In some cases, we're trying to introduce different mechanics, and that's the main point of the level is like, okay, look, you have this new mechanic or this new mechanic. Now we've gotten sort of past that point, and what we're looking to do is just make levels that are going to be interesting and kind of crazy. And as we have all the blocks in the game, once we have more and more platforms, then we're going to start getting crazier and crazier levels. This is the last Twitch stream of the year, and I think when we come back, we're going to change it up a little bit. We might do some more overall game design, mechanics design, world design. We'll see what happens. But level design, I think we're probably going to hold off until we have more of the platforms to be able to finish setting up the level so that we introduce all of the different platforms at the right time, and also make sure we have everything in our arsenal to be able to make awesome levels. So I managed to distract myself like 6 times. So this level, I decided we want our player to take a certain path, and I want to just draw the overall path of where I want the player to go, and then from there I'll figure out how to design the level around that. So I'm just going to make it green and quite thin. So my thought was I want the player to go kind of here, and this is quite random, but you'll see it actually ends up designing a level that can be quite interesting. So this is just the path that I want the player to take. Now, in the usual case, so in the usual case I would say, okay, let's give the player a beginning and an end. Now, in this case, they could really just jump from the beginning to the end, like that. Nope, like that. But that's obviously a little bit too easy. So we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff in here, and it's going to get a lot more complicated and difficult, and we're going to try and force the player to go through this path. So how are we going to do that? So first thing is we will need some walls. So I'm going to do this. Now this is all really rough. You'll see in Unity we're going to play around with things, and we're going to change how far the player has to jump, how all sorts of different things. So just keep in mind this is not to scale at all. So I'd like to make it so that the player is forced to go on this path. Alright, so this is fine for now. I'm going to give it a little L thing. Problem is here, given that we're giving the player all of the blocks that they need to place, we want to avoid them being able to just jump through whole sections of the level without even thinking about placing a block. Maybe if they're good, they don't have to place a block, but they should at least have to think about it and figure out, okay, how are we going to go about trying to do this? So one problem with this, let's just do this. One problem with this is that the player could quite easily just jump straight down, and then they have no worry about placing blocks. So let's see what we can do about that. One thing is that we're going to do is we're going to put spikes at the bottom, because spikes are awesome. So that's going to stop them from just jumping down. The other thing is that they might want to, okay, well, I'll just jump onto the wall, and then I'll wall jump, or sort of slide down the wall, and then jump across. Right? That seems like a logical thing to do. So we're going to stop that as well. So we're going to put a little spike thing here. This way, they can't just jump across without really thinking twice about it. The next thing is, so we'll make a little thing here. The next thing is, I want to have a door here. So this is going to be a door that opens at a certain interval. and it doesn't really look like a door, but that's okay. And what I'd like to do so that people don't just, because at this point the player can just jump down here, slide along the wall, wait for the door to open, and then jump through. We want to avoid that as well. So what's the solution? More spikes. Yes. So I'm going to put some more spikes up there. Now the player is definitely going to have to either place a block or they'll have to be really good at the game, and they'll slide down here, they'll wall jump, they'll slide down here, they'll wall jump with the timing of the door. So if they can do that, great. They don't have to use blocks at this point. So next section. Let's make this a little wider. Next thing, we wanted them to go through here. One of the mechanics I've always really liked about certain platformers, especially Super Meat Boy, they really abuse this, is that they have these things where you're sliding down a wall and then you have to wall jump across between two like spinning blades. So I think that would be a cool thing to try to do. The problem here is that because we're giving the player the blocks, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to place them in such a way that they'll have to wall jump or slide off other things. So what we're going to do is make it so that they can go slowly, they can place their blocks carefully and not have to do this wall jump thing, but ideally they'll be able to do, well, if they're doing it quickly and efficiently without placing blocks or too many blocks, then they'll have to do this wall jump thing. So here we're going to put some spikes. Or let's just say one spike. Here we're going to put one spike, and they're going to have to jump through here. Now, what I would say is that a cool way to do this might be to have a wall that we're going to put here. And that's pretty much it. So they could put a platform if they want, but if they want to be even more efficient, then they can hopefully use this wall to jump. Alright, so next thing, another thing that I find, actually, sorry, let's take a step back. So I'd like to also give an option to get through this upper part of the section. So, oops. So I'd like to, one second, there we go. So I'd like to give them a little bit of opportunity to go through here, but this has got to be a very, very difficult thing to get through. So what I'd like to do is give this spikes and spikes. Again, obviously this is not to scale. There'll still be room for them to jump through. But beyond that, there's also going to be these two spiky balls that are spinning at the same time, and we're going to time them and position them such that it becomes really difficult to get through. So again, part of the level design thing is risk reward, or sort of the better you are, the better you'll be able to get through. So if the player is able to, then great. They could either just jump straight through and maybe time themselves to land here and jump across, but it's going to end up being very difficult. So we're going to see how we can make that more difficult in a little bit. Here we want to force them to go up, so I'm just going to put a straight that is not even close to straight. It's kind of difficult with a mouse and not with a drawing pad. So I'm going to put a sort of straight line over here, and we're going to try to give them something else. So the next thing that I want to try to do is, I also like this is a mechanic that I've seen or been influenced by other platformer games, of basically having something that moves up in a channel, and you have to jump off to the sides and then jump back on and then jump off and jump back on. And there's different ways to achieve that. One of the things that I'm thinking, because we give the players the blocks, is to use what we call a fan platform. So the fan platform, I can just show you quickly in Unity what that actually is. Where are we? So I can just show you how that works. So the fan platform goes up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the player access to actually placing those platforms, and then they're going to have to use those to get up to the top. So let's go back to our quick Photoshop thing. So we're going to give the player some fan platforms. Now, of course, the player decides where they're placing their platforms. So drawing them here is not really the best idea because who knows where they're actually going to place them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it just in gray because I'm assuming, I'll just draw it like this. I'm assuming that this is how they're going to place their platforms. All right. Thank you, Nulcor and Kyler, for telling me about the audio thing. Very important. All right, so they're going to put their platforms here, we think, and then they're going to have to go around these things. But this might make it too easy because these walls here, you could easily just switch back to green. You could easily just like wall jump, wall jump, wall jump, wall jump, and then get to the end. And that would be, while it would be fun, it would be way too easy. So what we're going to do is, we're assuming the platform, well, the platform's going to go up and down, right? So we're assuming it starts by going up. So we're going to assume it covers about this range. What we're going to do here is we're going to place some spikes so that the player has to basically time their wall jumps. So we'd put spikes here. For some reason, this level is really huge on spikes. So we're going to put some spikes here. We're going to put some spikes here. Thank you, Nulcor. Happy to see that. So we're going to put some spikes here, some spikes here, some spikes here. Actually, maybe even all the way to the top. Yeah. Okay. So the idea here is that they're going to hop on the platform. Then they're going to have to jump. Well, here, I'll just show you in green. They're going to hop from here somehow. They're going to get up to the platform. So that'll depend on different things different blocks we give them. Then they're going to have to wall jump. And then they're going to get back onto the platform. And then they're going to have to wall jump up, get back on the platform, and then either wall jump this way and go over, or wall jump here and go over. And now I'm making a huge mess of this, so I'm going to get rid of that all. Now, the other thing that I think we're going to see, now I'm not going to put it in the level in the drawing just yet, but the other thing I think we might see is that there's no pressure to leave the platform once you're standing on the platform. So the thought will be, my thought is that they'll end up getting onto the platform, they'll just wait, they'll kind of sit there, it'll go up, and then they will wall jump, and then they'll land on the next platform, and then they'll sit there while it goes up. So depending on how the platforms go, we're going to see what we can do about that, and well, you'll see once I start actually getting into the thing. Just a quick hello to the new people who have come on. So we're doing a quick intro. We're doing single player level design for the puzzle mode of our game, Ultimate Chicken Horse. Check out awesome art. I'm doing some level design just on Photoshop, and then we're going to go into Unity and show you how it's done in Unity. Alright, so let's get back to it. That's almost it. We're not quite done yet. This actually would be a little bit wider and completely not straight, even a little bit. And then I also wanted to have a last little point where we have something that I would call bottlenecking. I don't know if that's, I mean, that's certainly a term. I don't know if it's a term in platformers, but I'm going to use it anyway. So basically you force the player through a very small space. That's super easy if you're the player, unless you have things like a projectile shooter here, because then you have to time yourself better. Next thing that's quite important is you're also going to have to time yourself here, because they'll have a projectile shooter here. So you can't just wall jump, wall jump, wall jump, wall jump. Just switch the colors. Yeah, you can't just like wall jump, and wait for the thing to happen, because you have this arrow above you that's going to be coming to destroy you. So that's going to add a little bit more pressure. And the last thing, which I guess I didn't show here, is that this is going to be a very small platform that you can land on, so you have to really land on the flag. Thing is, given how big the camera is, you're not going to actually see where you're landing, so it's going to be a little bit scary. But there's nothing really to kill you except the idea that you might you might fall off to the sides. um, automotos. Um, I'm going to. I just wanted to do a quick sketch first and then get into Unity. So we're pretty much done in the sketching part, and then we're going to iterate on it there. But the idea is to have a level that's kind of designed out first on paper, because I want to make sure I have all the mechanics that I want to use in the level. And then in Unity, I'm going to change things like, okay, how far are you jumping? How, if there's something, there's a flaw in the design, I'll change it in Unity. But what I want to avoid doing is going into Unity, making a whole level, spending however long doing it, and then realizing, oh wait, this didn't work. Like, this was a bad design choice in the first place. I have to scrap it, and I have to move all the other parts of the level around. Yeah, I think sketching helps to get the idea quickly, but it also helps to it also helps just save time, because there are a lot of ideas that you'll have that are not very good, and then you'll draw them out, and then you'll be like, oh, I see this now that it's drawn out in front of me, how this is not going to work. Because especially in our game, the player could just bypass certain sections by placing blocks in them. So we would say, okay, well, maybe I should reconsider the design. It depends on what you're designing, and it depends on how you're designing it. So in this case, I do a quick sketch, like, well, you could see I have like a very small thing. I don't know if you're going to see that on your screen, but I have a very small little sketch here that I just did really rough, and then I said, okay, this looks like it's going to make sense. All right, so the last thing that I'd like to introduce, or like to include, is we want to add things in the level that make it so that if you're better, or if you're using your blocks better, you can get some sort of reward. So we've just started putting coins in the level, or we're starting to put coins in the levels to collect, to use for unlockables and things. Haven't really quite figured out everything yet, but one of the things that I'd like to do is give an option for somebody to make better use of their skill in order to get more of something. That's incredibly vague, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we'll have a key up in this corner. So what that's going to do is it means that the player is going to get here and do their wall jump thing, but they're going to see, really from the beginning, they're going to see this key and they're going to say, I wonder what that does, without knowing anything else. Now, if they're more like completionists, then they're going to get it. If they're not, they're just not going to care and say, forget it, I can get to the end of the level anyway. But here, what you can see I'm doing is what we're going to do is put a little area in here where we have a couple of coins. And this is going to be fenced off with a lock. This is not easy to do without a drawing tablet. So this part is going to open up if you get the key, and then you also will be able to see where the ending of the level is if you land in here, because you'll be falling down here, and then you'll be able to just hop in there and you'll be good. So automotos, as you suggested, are going to hop into Unity and we're going to see what comes of this crazy level that we've thought of designing. So I'm going to keep checking back sort of to the Photoshop to see if we're following our design. So right now I'm going to hop into Unity. I'm going to delete some of the blocks that we don't need. I'm going to keep a couple of colliders. The colliders are the green ones. I'm going to keep those just to make sure that just because I can easily copy paste them. So first things first, I'm going to take the camera collider, which is this highlighted green line that you see. I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, so here you should be able to see it better. So this is the entire camera. I wonder if I play the game. Yeah, you're not going to see anything. But the point is that you can only move a certain amount inside the camera. So what we have is we have it set up so that this light green box, is going to show you where the camera is placed. Alright, so this green box, we're then going to make it bigger, because I know we want to have a much bigger level than we did before. And it also has to be a lot taller, so I'm going to do a square level shape. Right now you can't quite see it, but I'm going to make this collider quite a bit bigger. And now those two blue lines are going to be the colliders that are the outside of my camera. So that's going to be where the player stops. I'll just show you quickly. Okay, things are invisible, but you see he can't go over to the left, so that's where that blue box is. Alright, let's actually go into... So I have all these blocks that we can drag in, and these are going to be what the player lands on and what you can see. So let's get started. Let's move the starting position. So we said we're going to start in the top right. That's another thing that's kind of interesting. Starting not in the bottom left or not in the top left is something that's kind of different. People tend to always go left to right. What we're going to do for whatever reason we choose is sorry, we're going to have some levels that start right to left, some levels that start left to right, and we're going to do, we're just going to mix it up, and we're going to see what happens. If people find it really, really awkward, then we might change it up, but I think I like the idea of kind of throwing people off in that sense. Alright, so I just want to make sure now that this blue boundary is going to match with my camera. So right now it's way off. So now it should match with my camera. It does. Perfect. Next thing is I'm going to put this as the sort of floor. And that should match with my camera as well. So you see there's a box that's being made now between the red and the blues. The greens you can ignore. Actually, I'm going to just delete them. Greens you can ignore. So that's our level shape. Now looking at this, it looks like it might be too small. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a bit too small. So what I'm going to do is make it a little bit wider. I'm going to do that by moving these boundaries aside. Also, it's important to note that I'm lining up everything with the grid. So there's this graph paper grid, and because the whole point of the game is placing things, and you have to place them in accordance to a grid, it's important to make sure that all of the things that I'm placing in the level now are aligned with the grid. Otherwise, we're going to end up getting blocks that don't line up with the walls and don't look like they line up properly. So, alright, so I made the level a little bit wider. That should help a teensy bit. Let's see what happens. So, first things first, let's bring a block in here. That's actually going to be too small. So if we compare this to the Photoshop, we want to have something fairly big here. Should really use a different color. Alright, right it is. So here we want to have something kind of big, maybe like a 4x6 or something. We'll see. So maybe, let's see what happens. Let's put a 4x6. Yeah, that looks a little better. Now I'm going to make sure that it's lined up with the grid. Oops. Going to make sure that that's lined up with the grid. And to do that, I'm going to make sure these numbers are exactly, well, whole numbers basically, or 0.5s. So you see it's lined up with the grid sort of off by a little bit. So the goal with that is that when you have to place a block, for example, let's just start this and see what happens. When you place a block, you want the block to be able to not be awkwardly placed. So in this case, like obviously I placed it not in the right place, so I'll have to change that. That is 13, that's 11. Right. So let's just see. So we can also choose which blocks we're giving to the player. So now I just changed it, so I'm going to get these two blocks. And you can see it lines up properly with the grid. So it's much nicer to have something like this than what you saw we had before, which was not lining up properly and awkward. Right? Right. So that's step one. And now we said we're going to put something, we're going to put a long straight piece here. So we're going to turn this to, and what else? We said we're also going to put a small block here. Yeah, Kyler is our artist, and this is the new art style we're sort of testing out with this graph paper background and these blocks that are sort of filled in, and I don't know what you'd call it. Kyler would know that kind of thing. So, all right, so that's the first thing. So that was that first little bit you can see down here. And we're going to put a door as well. So the door is something that's going to be one of our blocks. So it's in the blocks thing. And the door is going to open at certain intervals. So I'm going to line the door up here, and one. Yeah, so now if we look at the level, hatched, yes, hatched is the word I was looking for, there you go. So we look at the level, we place a block. Oops, I forgot to make the door kinematic, so I'm just going to push it over a little bit. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Let's try that. Let's change that a little bit. Auto door, make it kinematic. Alright, so now if we look, so the door is going to open at certain intervals. So when it's closed, you can't go through it. And when it's open, as you'll see in 1 second, you can. And then you die. So that's that. Now next thing is we want to put some nails on here. That is definitely important. It's going to be 11 and 3. And we said we wanted to make the wall, we said we wanted to make that little hole over here. So I'm going to do that now. So let's quickly put this. And so now we're starting to get into questions of actual design in terms of how far away we want certain things to be from each other. So let me explain what I mean by that. Oops, copy, paste. All right, apparently I can't copy paste. Yes, I can. I'm just crazy. Okay, so for example, we want to. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so for example, we want to make this so that it's a certain distance away from where the player starts. Now, let's just put that there for now, put that there for now. So one of the questions that we might have is, in this case, do we want the player to be able to jump right through, or do we want the player to need to place a block to be able to jump through? Or do we want it so that they can actually jump down here, so I should say jump down, wall slide, and then jump over? I personally prefer the last one. I don't know what you guys think, but I prefer that last one. So we want to make it so that this distance from here to here is jumpable, right? But we also want to make it so that this is not jumpable, which means that the angle has to be such, like this has to be low enough that the player's not going to be able to just jump right through it, right? So here, back here, we can say, like that's obviously not going to work because there'll be spikes here and here, but we want it to be so that that will work. So that actually worked quite well, except that these are still going to be way too close together once we put spikes on them. So I think if we want the player to pass through, let's just try that one more time. If we want the player to pass through, yeah, we want the player to pass right through the middle, so that's going to be through those blocks. We can really put it wherever we want. The issue is if we put it too high, then the player will be able to just jump right through, which we want to avoid. So let's move it down just a bit. make this 9. And now we can take our blocks, we can put our spikes, they're actually nails, I keep saying spikes, but they're nails, in there, and then we can do the same thing here and put it on top, 5 and 13. So now it's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'll just put these here so that we don't actually die. So now if you tried to jump here, there's really no way. Oh, I forgot to make it kinematic again. Keep doing that. So here we just have a button that's called is kinematic, which means that things won't move when you hit them. And yeah, that's that. So we're trying to make this jump so that if you just jump straight, that's obviously not going to work. And is there a way to jump and sort of float through? Doesn't really look like it. Maybe there are people here that are better at this game than I am, but it doesn't look like that's possible. Now, is it possible to do this wall jump? Yes, yes it is. Now, is it too easy? It seems so, because I just did it 3 times and I'm not even very good at this game. So let's change that around a little bit. Now, in terms of keeping things on the grid, obviously we want to keep everything on the grid, but in some cases we might want to move things around so that it becomes a teensy bit harder. For example, these nails are at, where are we? These nails are at 11 in the Y, so as I move this up and down, these will move up and down. But that doesn't mean that I can't put them, up a little bit. Now, maybe I can, there are different ways to go about it. I can scale this block. We can figure out different ways to do it so that we have sort of increments, but the key is, in terms of design, is that this gap should be a little bit smaller than it is now. So let's look at these nails. Let's say 11 point, so 11.5 is going to be impossible. Let's try 11.2, and here let's try negative 12.8, oops, 12.8. So now they're a little bit closer together. Let's try this again. So this might take a couple of tries. The key thing is knowing if it's possible, and sometimes it's hard to tell if you're not very good at the game. There we go, okay, done. So we might make that a little bit harder, because so far it seems like it's easy enough. But that'll be that for now. I'm fine saying that for now. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into here. We want to make this bottom part, we want to make this thing now. That's the next step. So, just take a drink. That's not tea, but I really wish it was. I kind of wish everything was always tea. Okay, so we're going to make this part that we had just talked about. Maybe we're going to make it a little bit wider, just to make it look a bit more interesting. So, let's place this here, this here. And we said we do want to have a little spike death thing happening over here. Reason for that, as we said, was to avoid people just wall sliding down the whole thing. And we also are going to put, let's go back into these puzzle pieces, 3 by 6 that we want. No, not quite. 3 by 5 looks a little better. I'm going to put this here, so the reason I'm not putting this over here is because then when the doors open, the player could land in that, like where the door is. We want to make it so that that's not possible. So I'm going to just move this over a little bit, and we're going to take a by 6, we're going to put it over here. Let's see what I'm doing in just a second. And what else is there? Oh yeah, we're going to take this, that there. Yeah, we want that to be a straight wall. So then, hey DaveSoft, thanks for the comment. Yeah, no, it's actually pretty cool for 2D as well. There's a lot of games that are being made with Unity for 2D. It's especially Unity 5, which will be coming out soon enough. They've implemented a lot of new stuff apparently to make Unity easier to work with in 2D. But obviously that remains to be seen. But yeah, so it should be good news. This is what, 2x2. But our physics system that we're using now, we're not using the Unity physics. We're actually using our own sort of physics stuff that we've coded. And our issue with the 3D physics was that it wasn't giving us what we wanted, I think, in 2D, because the physics is based on like a 3D physics system. So we wanted to not do that. So we have our own kind of thing. Yeah, you should definitely look into Unity. I like Unity a lot. It's really intuitive, and I mean, there are some drawbacks, but it certainly seems like it's more intuitive than it is restricting. So, all right. So the next thing we said we wanted to do was we wanted to put in some nails on the bottom. So that's going to make life harder, which is obviously the point, because we're evil game designers, and that is that. Yeah, exactly. We don't want anything to be too realistic. I mean, obviously you can see the jump of our character here is quite floaty, and we're still tweaking the jumping mechanics, but you know, you want to be able to do really strange non-physical things. Is this gonna work? Oh. So in terms of drawbacks, I don't want to say too much because it's more the programmer. I'm not the lead programmer. I actually haven't done much of the coding at all, or any of the coding. But apparently I think it has to do with like what DaveSoft said, which is that they're very realistic physics, and they also, the way Unity is set up, I believe, is based on mass, and like, so if you have your models that you give them a certain weight, there's gravity and so on. We are not using gravity at all. We're basically using just like, we're using gravity, but we're not using like a certain mass. We're basically just giving the character a speed in a direction when they jump, and then letting gravity take care of the rest. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's that it makes it very easy to use if you want to set things up and to set most basic things up. But then when you want to get into really customizing and tweaking certain things in your game, it's a little bit less intuitive. And like, there are things that are hidden from you that Unity hides from you to make it easier. And so usually that makes it easier, except in the case where you want to tweak things that you have to really like dig through the Unity stuff to get to it. On the other hand, Unity has a huge database of tutorials, and there's huge amounts of forums and things, and pretty much anything you ever wanted to do, someone has done and asked a question about it. So, found on the code end, there's a bit of wall between the Java-ish code and the C-ish code that they're building the Java motor. Yeah, I mean, we're using C#. Our programmer has like a passionate hatred for Java or JavaScript. So he's definitely adamant on C#. I believe also C# was what Xbox was using like primarily for their development for the past Xbox generations, and I think it's more of the industry standard. But don't take my word on that, because that's just sort of the feeling that I'm getting. Yeah, definitely. So that's what I mean by it sort of hides things, and then you have to dig through them to get to what you want. That's something that, well, it's like in any system, right? If you have something that's really simple and easy to use, most of the important stuff is hidden from you. But then if you want to tweak it, it becomes more difficult. So It's like rooting your phone or something on an Android. It's like, yeah, you have everything works and is pretty, and then if you want to get into really like the dirty stuff, then you have to root it and you have to get into all the sort of system stuff. It becomes more confusing. Alright, I'm just going to hop back into this level design. So we have the first bit. That's nice and interesting. Next thing that's going to happen, I'm going to bring this down a bit because I want it to be off the screen. And I'm going to go back into sticking some blocks around here. So let's put this block in the corner. So let's go 14, 14. And I'm going to try and speed this process up a little bit, just because I know we want to get to the gameplay, real gameplay. So I'm going to run through this, and set this at 9, 5. And of course, here we said we're going to give the player a little bit more room, to jump. So let's do that. And before it was something like this, we're going to give them some more space to jump. So that's going to, players might be tempted to go that short way. They'll try it, they'll die, they'll try it, they'll die, they'll try it, they'll die, and then they'll be like, okay, forget it. I'm just going to go the easy way, which is the long way. And then they're going to try their hand at something else. Again, we're giving them blocks to place, so who knows how difficult certain parts are going to be, because that's going to be up to the player. Okay, next thing we said we wanted to do was we wanted to put in, where's my 2x6? There we go. Next thing we said is we want to put in this. Actually, that should be wider than that. Let's go with 3x6. So when Kyler was actually putting some art in levels, he made things look cool and pretty. I'm basically just sticking the blocks wherever I can so that they do what we want. Eventually we'll change around the order of the blocks so they look like they're nicely stacked, and it makes a little bit more sense. So for example, I'm just doing this when maybe there are much prettier ways of doing this. That's not what I want. 9. What happened here? Oh. 2, 9. Of course, if there's any gaps or anything, we'd get rid of that soon enough. Hey, so welcome to new people. I didn't realize that there were so many people watching. Welcome. And what we're doing today, we'll do like a quick re-intro. So we're doing some interactive level design for our game Ultimate Chicken Horse. This game is a 2D platformer where you build the level while you play. And in the single player mode, which is what we're doing now, you're basically given certain blocks and you have to figure out where to place them in the level to get from this green flag to the red flag at the end. And so what we're doing now is designing a level that we're going to basically give to the player. We're going to figure out which blocks we're giving them. They're going to figure out how to get to the end of the level. And then later, very soon, as soon as we're done this, we're going to do some gameplay of the multiplayer version of the game, which should be awesome. So stay tuned. I'm actually, while we're here, I'm just gonna do a quick post on Facebook and a quick tweet that I had already sort of set up. Maybe get even more people here. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please share. Please let your friends know. This is the last one of 2014, but we're gonna be back probably second week of January, and we'll be doing every Friday at noon. So make it happen. Let's just okay, that worked. Did the tweet work? It's tweeting. It's taking its time to make the tweet. Alright, so let's get back into this. DaveSoft, can they move blocks after placement? Very good question. Yes, so what we're going to do right now, it's set up so that you place the blocks and then there's just like a reset blocks button. But in more playable versions of the game, we're going to have it so that you can edit after you run through. So you place all the blocks, you run through, you die, then you'll be able to edit one block at a time or remove all the blocks. So you can move one block a little bit if you think, oh, that jump was just a little bit too far, or you can reset them completely. But you can't move them while you're running through the level, I guess. If that answers, hopefully that answers your question. Yep, Kyler is snuck into my house and is hiding in another room until I summon him for gameplay. But now he can answer any art questions or anything if you guys have. So I'm going to continue with this. So that is not the right decision. I want to move this up here. So this is where we said we're going to make it kind of tight for the player at the top of the level. So for those of you guys that are joining us, we did a sketch that looks terrible. That looks terrible over here. But this sketch was made basically to show you what our plan is for this level. So let's jump back into this. We said, you know what, let's make these actually even wider. So let's just throw together some blocks here. So I'm going to make it one thing wider, 17. So I'm trying to be mildly artistic by like offsetting them a little bit, but I don't think that's really working. That's okay. That's why Kyler's here. Okay, so let us take a look at this. Remember we said actually here we're going to put we said we're going to put a little area where we can get more coins. So you'll see that what I'm going to do with that in a second. Here we have -9, -5, and that's the wrong one. Here we go. Nope, that's also the wrong one. There we go. I love lining these things up. It just looks like it just lines up so nicely. Alright, so you can see sort of what we've got going on over here. I'm going to put a little 2x2 over here. Now, what we haven't looked at all yet is what blocks we're actually giving to the player. So far we have this drawing that we've done. Most of this stuff is there already. We didn't put spikes. That's going to be kind of important. So let's put some wonderful, happy, friendly spikes. And see what that does to this crazy level of doom. Alright, so I'm putting some spikes over here. We said we're going to put one. Let's start from the top because that'll be easiest to organize ourselves with. So we'll start at the top here, and 5. And we said we're going to put some spikes also down here. Let's kind of mix it up a little bit. Ooh, actually, it's going to make it even harder. Yeah. All right. So what we can do is put these spikes down here, and we'll put another thing of spikes. Yeah, it's a spiky level. I don't know if we're going to name our levels, but we should definitely just call this one like Spike Doom Ball of Death Machine number 6. Okay. So now that we've made this, I think, sufficiently difficult, let's think about the blocks that we're actually giving to the players. So we're going to give them, we said we're going to give them the fan platforms, that's these guys. So let's give them 2 of those. We said there was going to be a wall here. I forgot about that. So that should not be there at all. Let's give them a wall. Level design prefabs. Again, this is going to be like, can they wall jump off? So ideally we're going to put it high enough so they can't just sit on top of the block and jump across, but they can wall jump to slide across. So, yes, sir, Joe Kiwi. So in multiplayer, so the single player and the multiplayer are fairly different. I mean, they're both based on building the level while you play, but the multiplayer is turn-based, and we basically, each person takes turns placing a block or a platform or a hazard or something else, and then the other person runs through the level. That person tries to get to the end where the flag is, and then you try and do the same thing. If you get to the end and your friend doesn't, then you get a point. If they get to the end and you don't, then you get a point. If you both succeed, then it's null, and if you both fail, then it's null. So the goal is, the idea is that every time you have a different level, so you have sort of an infinite number of different levels, and also that you are making the level more and more complicated as you go along. The single player is a lot more puzzly, and the point is that you're figuring out where you're placing the blocks and how you're approaching the level to be able to get to the end. So I'd say the multiplayer version is, obviously it's more competitive, but it's also less of a puzzle and more of a real platformer. The cool thing though, the cool mechanic that comes up with the puzzle mode, though, the multiplayer mode though, is that, as you're going to see very soon, you get a whole bunch of different stuff happening. Like, let's say, for example, Joe Kiwi, you're playing with DaveSoft. Maybe you're somebody who likes to really make it impossible right away. But then Dave is somebody who wants to make it kind of easy to get to the end, so you both make it to the end and then slowly make it harder and harder. So what you'll notice is he'll place something like a regular platform, and then you'll go and you'll place like a giant spiky death thing, and then you'll both die. And then he'll place a platform to make it easier, and you'll place, and so you get different strategies and different mechanics based on who you play with. So that's something that I think is kind of interesting. All right, let's just see. So puzzle controller, this is something we're going to figure out which blocks. I hope that answers your question, Joe. If you have more, please let me know in the comment. So we have a few blocks that we're going to give the player. Let's give them, first of all, let's give them the two fan platforms. So we're deciding which platforms they get. The next thing is we should maybe give them, so we should give them something for this section. Because this is going to be very difficult to do unless you have a block of some sort. So the way I do it is I think of the way that I would get through the level, and I give people blocks for each of the sections that I think it's important to use them with, and then if it's too easy, then we get rid of ones. If it's too hard, then we add ones. So I'm going to give them a little 1 by 2 block like that they can use for this section. This level doesn't have to be the level 277. It can be, not insanely difficult, but at least introduce this door mechanic first of all, and it can do, introduce the idea of getting the key, which I'll show you in a second, and other such things. So, all right, so there's a couple platforms. So the fan platforms, that's going to be for this area. The little 1 by 2 platform is going to be for this area. Now, is there something here that they can use? Well, we want to give them means to get the key, which I'm going to put in here right now. So we want to give them something that will let them get the key, and let's give them just a 1 by. Let's just give them a 1 by 1 block. So that's going to be for them to get the key. The next part is this wall jump area. Sure, we can force them to wall jump. You know what? Yeah, fine. Let's be evil. They have to wall jump. Then the next part, I think what we should do is give them a. Okay, here's an idea. So usually we give them blocks that are useful to them, platforms, etc. This time, why don't we give them this spiky ball? And so obviously you're not going to use the spiky ball to jump on. What you can use it to do is block the projectile shooters. So we have projectile shooters we said we're going to be setting up here. And so that is something that we should give them something to block it. So this spiky ball, they might be like, what the hell, what's the point? So what I'd like to do, what this level is also going to do, is it's going to show them, oh hey, you can use things that are not necessarily, don't necessarily seem useful to you in ways that are useful, which is to block certain things. That's another part of the puzzle mechanic, is that it's, you're going to have to be able to use blocks to stop projectiles and to stop other things. What on earth just happened? Okay, so I'm just going to make a space for this projectile shooter because I don't want it to stick out too much from the level. So let's just do that. And now we should find, I hope the person can squeeze through there. So for you guys just joining us, we're doing some level design of this 2D platformer. And we're figuring out which blocks we want to give to the player for them to get to the end of the level. So this is a game where you sort of build the level while you go through it, and that's that. We are in it. All right. Let's give them a little block here. That's what we said at the end was going to be that sort of. We're going to have to test it. It might end up being one of those frustrating death things where you die and you're just like, don't really, I mean, you know why you died, but you're like, come on, really? But maybe that'll be part of the fun. You'll be like, oh, I got all the way to the end, and then you die, and you're just like, well, crap, why did that happen? I'm going to give the player the lock, or sorry, we're not going to give the player a lock, but the lock is going to be here. The lock is something that will be unlocked by the key. That's fairly intuitive. And the idea is that in this little section, we're going to have coins. So the coins don't actually have any sort of here, let's just do this quickly. So like the coins don't actually have any collider or value or anything now, so I'm just going to stick them in here. Hi, Daniele, who's Bahamut Prime from Halifax. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so these coins don't have anything right now, but they're just symbolic, so pretend that they're important. Now, so the lock chain, I'm going to put these all as sub-children. I'm going to organize this whole hierarchy soon. Right now it's a mess. Very important for game design and level design and everything design to stay organized. So I'm going to do that later. Keep in mind. So this is schematic. These guys are schematic. And in the lock, in the key, we have the lock item. So now when we reach the key, then the lock should disappear, and all the children, because the lock thing is the thing that's just disappearing. You see, these are all children of this parent object. So that means this lock is going to disappear. Okay, that looks like we have a level. Should we try it out? Yes, we should. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just ask Kyler to try it out? So Kyler, if you want to come in, Kyler's hiding in the other room in my house. If you want to come in and try this level out, then we can just finish up the level design and then we'll jump straight into multiplayer together, if that makes sense. But here, let me try it first while I'm awaiting. So there's these fan platforms. I said let's try and put them maybe here and here. This one is for the first section. Now I'm not going to try and go through. Oh, we forgot something else, but I'm not going to try and go through there. I'm going to try and just go through here. Hey, Kyler. Hey. All right, so Kyler is coming to join me. Let me just move this. I wonder if you're on the camera. Let's see.
I'm just gonna squish your backpack.
Probably a good one. Alright, so I'm going to place this here. I just want to see, we can check in our computer screen that's there.
Oh.
If you're on the camera.
Probably will show up.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to place this over here. I have an awesome strategy. I forgot to put the crazy spiky spinny balls, but we'll do that in a second.
Don't I get to place?
Yeah, well, I was in the middle of placing while you were walking over, so I'm just going to try it once. But then we can reset the blocks and see what happens. I'm going to try and get the key, so I'm going to put that here. Alright. Okay. Okay, so I'm wondering if maybe the door placement is impossible. Yeah, it might be impossible. Okay, why don't we
change that?
Where's my mouse? Yeah, so why don't we do this and put this here, move this guy up a little bit, and then we should be fine.
Yeah.
Let's just line this up properly.
Okay, now the pressure is on.
Yeah, okay, you were definitely in the camera. It would seem.
So key up here, I'm going to go with a moving platform.
Fair enough.
Through there. Is there actually enough room up there?
I'm not sure. That's what the testing's for.
Oh god.
But we can check in a second.
This is going to be exciting. Arrows.
Oh, I forgot to give the person the spiky ball.
Oh, okay.
Well, but that's okay. We'll do that in a second.
Ooh, what was that?
Oh, I forgot to make it kinematic. Alright. We'll try to play through anyway, and then we'll...
Oh, I guess I need...
Well, unless you wall jump off that side and then that side. Okay,
this is gonna happen.
Do it.
Oh, okay. Now let's fix that.
Yeah, let's fix the
thing.
Let's fix the key. Let's just look at all the nails. Make sure they're all.
If you just search 25_nails.
But I should make sure it's all nails though, right?
Yeah, but it'll search all of them.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's too late now. It's too late. I've already done it. Make sure they're all kinematic. Okay, and the other thing was we wanted to give the player one more thing, which was the spiky ball of doom. So we're going to actually give them this. Alright, give it a shot.
Okay, this time maybe I should have a platform. I need all the screen space.
That works. That'll actually probably be better for you guys to see as well on the stream. I just want to see, make sure it's okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go right there. That's doable.
That's good. Yeah, that does seem doable.
This.
So you don't necessarily need the key.
Oh, I don't?
No, because the key, as we said, just opens the coins.
I want the bonus.
Fair enough. You can have the bonus.
And then I'm gonna need some help, right? That'll be bad. And a spiky ball.
By the way, if you guys on the stream have any suggestions of where to place blocks or what to do, it would probably be appreciated because we're gonna have difficulty.
This.
Nice. Okay, you got the key, so now the other things can disappear. We're halfway. I don't even know if that jump's gonna. Well, you should be able to make it. No, maybe not.
I'll try one more time
before resetting the blocks.
Yeah. I won't go for the key. Where is?
Oh, it's going.
Yes. Don't die.
Okay. You really got to hold the run.
Oh, there's like little ledges because we didn't make it perfect.
Yeah. We'll have to fix that.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, I'll have to fix those though. It seems like the colliders didn't line up perfectly.
Yeah. I have a system for making them line up.
Perfect.
I will show it to you after.
Sounds good. Yeah, the platforms. So we've had issues with the fan platforms, and they reset. They kind of reset in weird ways. So we're gonna have to fix that. That's a clear bug. Bouncing off spikes and dying is not the plan. Although Kyler seems fairly good at it. But the fan platform seems to have disappeared.
Go horse.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you really got to use the run thing when you're jumping. It'll make you go further. All right. Oh, I guess this didn't block the thing. All right. Oh, because I didn't make it kinematic. That's the problem. I think because it's not kinematic. But
Are the nails ever not kinematic?
No, they should be kinematic. I don't know. We'll have to look at it after. To answer you, Bahamut, you could go the way back. Yeah, you could actually go. Can I try that?
Yeah.
So that's a good suggestion. So you go get the key. Oops. No, the door lets you do whatever you want. But, oh no, is it running away? Okay. So you get the key, and then, okay. Oh, and then you try to go through the, and you try to go through the small space, I guess?
I think that's impossible. Oh.
Oh, it's not impossible. I've done it. I did do
Okay.
it. See?
Oh my god.
The thing is that you need to place a block somewhere. Well, actually, no, not even necessarily. Because if you can do that,
Whoa.
there we go. Now comes the difficult
This is
part.
impossible. There's no way. There is no way.
No, there's a way. Here, let's try one more time. Oh, not that. Let's try this one more time. By one more, I mean a couple more. Oh, I forgot to come back to the right. Right, last try, and then we're gonna do other things. Fine, last try where I make it through there, and then we're gonna do other things.
We need to beat the level before we leave it.
Okay, I'm just gonna clear the blocks. I have a different idea. Here, I'm gonna use this to block here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good comment. So yeah, the jump at the beginning is easier to practice, so you can really just do that and die 800,000 times, and it's fine. I'm gonna see if we can maybe put this here, and so I'm gonna skip the whole trying to get the key thing. I'm gonna try to just actually I don't even need these guys. I'll just put them over here and here, and the spiky ball we can put in here because I'm not going there anyway. But it should be able to get through this. Also, one of the cool things I didn't realize is that you can look at the grid and figure out where you should be jumping from.
Yeah, where the falls are and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
it helps.
If I jump at the third thing, then.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like if I jump wherever it is.
It's very mathematical.
But it seems like that's not working to my advantage. Alright, well I'm going to try this a couple more times, but, oh there we go. Okay. Should be able to, oh, I want to just stand here. No!
Give it.
This is kind of a fail.
I'm just going to do some work on the level quickly. Just because it's fun. If I find all the solid things.
Oh, you can just
take all those and I put them in the solid holder, it will turn everything into the nice colors. Maybe.
Oh, and if you change the color?
Yeah, and if I turn on this update thing, well, it'll happen when I press play.
Ooh, fancy colors. And you can change the color too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I noticed, I just checked back and noticed there's more of you guys watching. In case you're just joining us, what we're doing is we're doing some level design in our game called Ultimate Chicken Horse, and we're about to do some multiplayer gameplay. Right now, I just designed a level, and Kyler, the artist, is trying to play through it, and it's proving to be very difficult. I think it's possible.
I'm gonna beat it.
He's gonna beat it, he thinks, but might be a little bit difficult. So we're just playing through this, and then we're going to do a quick playthrough of some multiplayer. We'll just show one of the multiplayer levels of this game. So if you're liking the stream, please share it and let people know, because we're about to do gameplay, and gameplay is awesome. And that's that.
Okay.
Okay, so that should block the thing. I don't know why it didn't.
I turned on is kinematic. Oh, I probably didn't press the right button.
Yeah, exactly. No, the problem is because you place it.
Well, I changed it on the prefab, but that probably didn't apply it.
Oh.
No, it would have, because it's in the. It's in here.
What's the collider like? Anyways, fine. Why don't we replace it with
with a different thing.
Yeah.
And then we won't have this trouble.
Yeah.
Puzzle controller.
Yeah. So element 4 there, you can just replace that with yeah,
Let's
or maybe like a flipping block, because then it's a little bit annoying, but it's still 1 by 1.
Okay.
I'll just double click. Yeah, there we go. All right, so what we just did is we switched. We had a spiky ball that we were giving the player, and the idea of with that is that it would block this arrow, but it would be like.
I have no idea if that other platform's gonna work.
I have no idea. The idea is that you would give somebody like a crappy platform that would be, potentially kill them, and they would have to learn to use that to block projectiles rather than to use it to jump on. So right now we're gonna see how this works. I feel like this jump is still way difficult. Oh, just calm.
Don't die after.
Calm.
Calmly going to my.
Nicely
okay.
done. Okay, yeah, so it is blocking the thing. Oh, man.
I'm rock climbing.
Oh,
God.
no. You were so close. You had it. And you had the key, too. Although, maybe not this time. Oh, is that possible? Maybe it is possible. I think it is.
Maybe if I did everything correctly. Oh, I could use the door if it was closed.
True, when it is closed.
Almost. Come on. Oh, it's not high enough. Never mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, like I was saying before, our platforms sometimes have weird reset things and like reset in weird places. So that's a bug that we're gonna have to fix. But all right, I think you should. Yeah, no.
What do you think I should do?
I was gonna say try and go straight. Try and go straight, like from there up to the top. But I think you placed it too low.
For that to work?
Yeah.
How about we just do it the right way?
What's the right way?
Like this. That's the right way.
And how are you gonna get? Oh, you could put the flipping block down. Oh no, sorry. I mean, you could put the. You still have 1 block left, right?
Yeah. Let's put this here.
Yeah, so then that should be fine. Yeah, if you guys have any comments or suggestions of how we should play the level or what we should try to do to beat this level, I think it's possible. But anyway, feel free to ask whatever questions you want or make any comments you want. Spider horse. I'm pretty sure you can make that. I think it's possible. Yeah, there you go. Now you just have to land where the coins are. Yeah, so then you'd get the coins.
I got the coins!
Pretend they disappeared. There you go.
Yes.
Well done. Alright, so let's save this. I actually realized I hadn't saved at all, so that's very good that my computer didn't explode. So yeah, there we go. We have a level. So just do a quick overview of how this thing became this thing. So we scoot this chair over a bit. So we designed this level. There are certain mechanics we wanted to do, which is first of all this wall jump thing. So wall jumping through 2 spikes. Same thing in the beginning, wall jumping through 2 spikes. So we have some consistency sort of in the more difficult or the easier way of the level. We have this needing to go up this channel in the middle. We have a key that opens things to coins. And all in all, I think we have a kind of interesting level. So we're going to save this, close this, and we're going to play some of the game. So let's just...
Another controller.
Should we... Is it going to sync properly?
You have to press the button on that thing.
To hold it or press it?
Just press once. And we're good.
Okay. So we have a build of our game that we just made this morning. If you guys want to try it, then send us a message. You can comment in here, send us a message on our website. We will get back to you. In fact, I will just promote ourselves. That's the Twitter handle. And that's the website. So if you go to the website, you can check out the game. You can check out. You could go to a contact page and let us know if you want to build the game. We'll get you that, and all will be wonderful. So, I guess yeah. So I'm not going to see the chat anymore.
Well, we can play in windowed mode.
True, yeah.
Just playing windowed mode.
Windowed. The question is how big?
How big is your monitor?
It's this,
So
but we don't want the whole size,
do
right?
one down.
Which is this, I guess, because these are weird
Yeah,
resolutions. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Pretty much perfect. Sorry, let me just see. Okay, yeah, the audio's down, so then this shouldn't be like doing weird moving things. Oh yeah, it's gonna cut off in strange ways. Never mind. Let's try that again.
What did we do? Oh no, we want 720p.
We want this one, no?
No, 1980 by 720.
1980 by 720.
Or sorry,
No,
1280
yeah, 1280 by 720.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's tiny, but can't we go one step up? Isn't this the same ratio? No, it's 960 is
No.
gonna be different.
How about 1680 by 1050?
Is that even a thing?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I just wonder. It's gonna cut off.
Well,
yeah, it's still cutting off.
But I think it'll be. Let's see what it looks like.
Alright, so for you guys that are just joining us, or actually for everybody, you're the horse, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, so we have this, the multiplayer version is a version where you take turns placing blocks. So what's going to happen is Kyler's going to place a block into the level, then then we're going to take turns at the beginning placing a bunch of blocks. So this is me, I'm the chicken claw. And then once a bunch of the blocks are placed, then we're both going to take turns running through the level trying to get to the end without dying. And you can see the beginning of the level was all the way at the left and the end of the level is at the right. So what we're doing now, like our goal is to get here. We need to fill in a few of the gaps, well we need to fill in this huge gap here to get from the start to the end. But we can also make it harder and fill it in with more difficult things if we want. So we're each taking turns, we place about 3 each, and then the main gameplay starts. So we have all sorts of different blocks that we can use, spikes and all sorts of crazy things. And we can be very evil or we can be not evil. I guess we'll see what happens.
Excellent.
So now it's Kyler's turn, and he's going to try and get through to the end of the level without dying. It's actually been a while since I've played this game as as the game. Yeah, as a competitive game. Oh no.
Don't die. And this build has 3-point range.
So yeah, so you saw that he got to the end and I didn't, because the horse is obviously cooler than the chicken. So he got a point, and then you'll see once we get to 3 points, we'll go on to the next level. If you guys have any comments or questions, I can actually still see the comments, so feel free to ask and we will answer them. I wonder if I could go down to that thing below.
I don't remember where it was.
It's down. I just wonder if it makes any sense.
To go down?
Yeah, if you can get back up again. Yeah, you could probably make the wall jump, like the thing across. But also, you guys would notice if you've seen the game before, you'll notice this is new. This sort of like graph paper thing, which I think is super awesome, and it's super awesome. That's it. Okay, I'll make this a little bit harder then. Just place that right in the wrong place.
I don't think.
No, you can jump over it. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. It's amazing how much like you do the right thing and you just freak out and you're like, oh my god, I got it, and then you just freak out. Somebody made a comment. Let's just hop over there. Do you have to place a block like chicken already won, so why would you want to place anything to make it easier for horse? So we can either place blocks or you can get rid of blocks using a bomb. But what we're thinking of implementing, we haven't tested out yet, but we're going to test it out, is having like a skip the build phase. So then let's say, like you said, the chicken won, and then he doesn't want to place anything. Then he would, sorry, the chicken would win, and then it would be the horse's turn to place. So it's the person, well, it takes turns, but you're right, if somebody won, then they wouldn't want to maybe place anything else, so they would press, okay, skip this build phase, and then the other person would have to skip it because it wouldn't be their build phase. So they'd have to run together twice, but then it would be the horse's turn next, so they would be able to go back to the build phase. I hope that made sense. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm gonna try and say that again.
Fine.
So, yeah, so for example, I just made it to the end, and now it's his build phase. But in the next time, let's say it was him who made it to the end and I didn't, it was his build phase, you're right, he wouldn't want to place anything, so he's gonna press skip. Then we just play the level again, and it restarts. But the building phase is like one person then the other, and then one person then the other. At this point, at least.
Oh.
So now we both died, so nobody gets a point.
Maybe we should have an indicator of like, everybody failed.
Yeah. Could be.
Just so you know that it's like the end of the round, instead of just not saying it.
Yeah. That's true. You could have a scorecard that just has like...
Oh!
That's awesome.
Yeah, just like a fail. Both suck.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's gonna change.
I realized that when I jumped and I wasn't using the run button.
More nails. That's,
bigger nails?
That's
a lot of nails. Okay.
Right, 2 points?
Oh my god. Success! So Janelle suggests we write y'all bitches suck. I'm not sure if that would be cool for the, like, younger crowd. In terms of if we try to get, like, the ERSB rating, and it's like, for everyone except that one comment that makes it 2. Ah, nice. I'm surprised we only got to 1-1. Yeah. Right. Okay.
What did you do? I turned around and now oh, more nails. That was close.
Let's just see. So Neely says maybe some sort of forced reset if you suck too much. 3 double losses and you're forced to bomb. It could be an idea. I think it should probably work itself out because like maybe if both people keep losing, they might just be really like interested in trying to get to the end of the level anyway. So I don't necessarily want to force them to do something like breaking the like removing things from the level. But I feel like it might just work itself out. Anyway, it's something we'll have to test and we'll have to do some playtesting about and see what happens. I don't know what you think about that, but everybody loses.
Well, that was that extra point that points in the pot solution. Where if
exactly.
you both die, then the stakes are higher for the next round. Like there's more points than you could win.
I thought it was so what happens if you both win?
Same thing, more points.
Okay. Yeah, so Dan, to answer you, the idea is to have a sort of pot that grows every time you both succeed or both fail. So then you win a lot more at once. Oh my god. Oh my god. Really? Really? Come on. Huge fail.
Oh god.
Oh man, I didn't realize how much harder that was gonna make.
Phew.
So it just gives you like an easy sort of easy out.
I think I got a point.
Oh no, I died right away because the thing hit me right away. Right when I spawned. It's like spawn camping.
That seems like a bug.
Yeah, we would have to make it so that like
It
in the
resets
flag or
correctly.
something it doesn't have like the
There's
arrow
like
can't
a
go through the flag or something.
invincibility.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
could be kind of crazy.
I want to make this here so that it actually
Oh,
is
man.
camping.
Well, if I can get through this, of course.
Yeah. That horse, he's very stoic.
he getting hit by the arrows?
Yeah, he's just staying.
Oh my god, why?
Oh, it happened to me. Okay, we should blow that up. It's not fair.
Hey, I made it.
It's not fair to the second person. You're gonna die.
But we also have to blow up this. Oh no.
You don't have to. Oh. Thank you for making it.
You're welcome. But I'm still gonna finish it. So then no one's gonna get a point. Or I'm gonna get a point this
You're
time.
gonna get a point, probably.
Awesome. Which I'm fine on being. I'm just gonna try and go straight.
Oh,
The old using the block the way it's meant to be used trick.
put an end to that.
It's just evil. Oh, really? But yeah, so as you guys can see, the levels are always very different. And we only have, I don't know, 15 blocks or something now. Later on, we're going to have more and more and more and more, so it's just going to become more and more interesting. And, oh man.
Points.
Alright, I don't think we're going to play through the next level. First of all, watch awesome horse dancing. So the next level is has a waterfall in it, and the goal is to go across from the beginning here around the waterfall to the end. I think we should probably cut the stream here because we started like an hour and a half ago.
Okay.
But anyway, so if you guys want to play the game, let us know. It's fun and awesome, and you can use a controller or a keyboard. What about the ability to remove something off the map? Yeah, we do. So that's exactly what we do have here. I'll just show you right now. So if somebody placed a block that you don't like, then instead of choosing a block to place or whatever, you can choose a bomb, and then that bomb will blow up that block, any block that's in a certain radius. So, Rothundrak, that's to answer your question. You can use this kind of thing to get rid of any sort of things that you don't want. So, yeah, that's that. So yeah, if you guys want to play the game, then let us know. Please follow us on Twitter, check out our Facebook, Twitter, all of that jazz. For the YouTube video, that stuff is going to be in the description below. I'll just open this up again. Yeah, so in the description for the YouTube video, that stuff's going to be there. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you probably when we get back. I'd assume probably on the 9th of January, and we'll do some different we might play some more of the game, we'll show you some updates, we'll see what happens. Thanks, Kyler, for
Thanks,
hanging out and playing.
Rothundrak, for saying the art is nice.
Yes, I think the art is awesome. Alright, so see you guys next time. Bye.